My name is Dr. Pak. I'm a medical doctor practicing in this area near Rochester, Michigan area. And I've been to North Korea many times in last 15, 20 years, total of about 14 times, mostly for the medical mission, trying to help the medical community and medical science of North Korea and provide the better health care to their people. So for that reason, I'm pretty much aware of what goes on in North Korea, and also the usual concepts on the image of North Korea that the American public has is very much misinformed. I think this is the a fault of U.S. government trying to demonize the country, and also the mass media of the United States that are mostly controlled under by the government. So therefore, I actually volunteered to provide you some direct information from my perspective as a medical doctor doing mission work in North Korea, to tell you about true pictures of North Korea, their system, their leadership, and so forth, so that there would be a much better peaceful relationship between United States and DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, what they call North Korea. And this is also very important that we have mainstream Americans to have a precise and accurate perception of what North Korea stands, because, as you know, they are effectively a nuclear powered country with ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, which is delivery modalities of their nuclear weapons. And the fact that they have ICBM and became nuclearized is not that because their intention to attack any country, including the United States or even South Korea, but their deterrence, they call them deterrence, that is prevent United States invading to their country. So this would be a quite surprising perception of about their intention. And today is August 10, and it's a very significant day in that in last 24 or 48 hours, our president in White House, Mr. Donald Trump, made a very provocative statement against North Korea. If they persist on nuclear power and development of ICBM that had been successful, that the United States will bring fire and fire and attack on North Korea. So that obviously provoked the North Korean government and their leadership, and they encountered that Donald Trump's statement, fire and fury will be unknown to the rest of the world, intensity-wise. That's what he stated. So they immediately responded to that by saying that United States, the people of the United States should be aware their nuclear weapons and delivery capabilities can reach mainland of the United States, and they threatened to attack our military base we have in the Pacific Ocean, the island of Guam. And most recent information I heard through mass media, CNN, is that they have further indicated that they will fire 4 intermediate-sized missiles toward Guam. They are not intending to attack island Guam, but to show their capabilities of doing that. And these 4 missiles will be targeted around the open ocean surrounding the island of Guam, to indicate very clearly that they do have a capability of attacking our military base on the island of Guam, which is extremely dangerous situation. Therefore, I think it's at this point it is very, very important for the American public to understand their position, North Korean position, and why statements that our president made 48 hours ago is very provocative and not very appropriate, and this will have to be corrected. First of all, I'd like to tell you that we talk about North Korea and South Korea, but Korea, there's no North Korea and South Korea. Those are not two different entities of government. They are one. North and South was divided artificially at the end of the World War II by the United States and Soviet Russia, who came to disarm Japanese military that were stationed on the Korean Peninsula. So they drew a line around the 38th parallel. So that's how country was divided for that limited purpose. But because of the Cold War, the division continues to this date after over 70 years. And in northern half of the Korea, socialist regime called the DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, was established currently under the leadership of a young man, Kim Jong-un. And South Korea, we have a capitalist society patterned very closely after the United States, and we have a democratic society there, called the Republic of Korea. So we have a DPRK out north and ROK down south, but essentially what I'm saying is that this is one country, and we have a total of 70 million people combined north and south, and every one of them desire eventual unification of the country so that a country will become one. After Korean War in 1953, it was ended by armistice, not a peace treaty, but the armistice, the end of the Korean War between United States, South Korea, and against North Korea was signed with a promise that within 3 months they will meet, North Korea and United States will meet in Geneva, Switzerland, and discuss formation of a peace treaty and normalization of international relationship between the two countries. But that did not happen, mainly because North Korea wanted to have it happen so that there will be a true peace in between United States and North Korea. But United States at this time, they were interested in ending the war, but they were not interested in signing a peace treaty. So on the contrary to the promise they made, the United States did not sign a peace treaty with United States, the North Korea. Therefore, that results in a continued hostilities that United States exhibited against North Korea. Any time there was some conflict, international conflict between North and United States will threaten them invariably with the nuclear weapon that we have, which North Korea did not have. Therefore, many times the U.S. bombers carrying nuclear weapon flew toward Pyongyang, threatening to pulverize destroy their country. And then also, additionally, every year there was a joint military maneuver between United States and South Korea near the doorsteps of North Korea, which made them very nervous. And then continues the isolation of North Korea, mainly due to U.S. intention. And sanctions provided by imposed on them by the U.S. government, and nowadays through United Nations has made North Korea very much isolated and demonized, and a country that are very hostile to outside the world, including United States, South Korea, Japan, and that is not actually. Therefore, the country of North Korea, DPRK, has been demonized, isolated, and their isolation is not what they wanted. Their door, as they say repeatedly, is locked from outside. Mostly the sanctions and enmities and military maneuvers by the side of the United States. So what the United States wants, which is unrealistic desire, is that eventually North Korea, as a socialist country, will collapse and the regime will disappear and will become part of South Korea. But that is not, we've been trying to achieve that goal for 65 years and it has not happened. For example, during the administration of President Obama, their North Korean policy was termed policy of patience. And so isolate them, leave them alone, they will collapse, was the idea. And of course, that did not happen. So in the meantime, with this continuous isolation and military maneuvers and nuclear threats, pushed the country of North Korea a desire and a need to develop their own nuclear weapon system and the delivery modalities, which actually United States in past Bush, Clinton, Obama, and currently Donald Trump administration never believed that North Korea will have effective, emerge as an effective nuclear power and look down on them. But that's what happened. And then delivery capabilities. When they fired the Hwasong 14 missile, most public media in the United States indicated that will never reach the United States, that it is not really a true ICBM. But twice already their missile system turned out to be effective at ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, that can reach us. Furthermore, in last 2-3 days, U.S. government has accepted the fact that their nuclear weapon is miniaturized enough so that they can be mounted on their Hwasong 14, which is the new ICBM, which means a nuclear armed ICBM can reach mainland United States, and that made us very, very nervous, and that resulted in President Trump's very provocative verbalization 2 days ago, and that in return caused the reaction by North Korea that currently the tension between the two countries is extremely high, and this will have to be corrected. There will have to be a negotiation and dialogue between the United States and North Korea, and this is one of the major reasons that I wanted to tell U.S. public that North Korea is not, nuclear power in North Korea is not a threat to either United States or South Korea. They developed this weapon system to prevent attack by North Korea and South Korea on their country. They think that by having delivery guaranteed nuclear power, that United States will come out to negotiate and begin dialogue and eventually sign a peace treaty with them. So they are meant to be for the peace and guaranteeing of their regime and end the isolation so that they can concentrate on the economic development of their country for the well-being of their people. I also want to mention the fact that their system is a socialist system, of course, so it's very much different from the political system that we are aware of in the United States. But most people, majority of people living in North Korea are fairly treated, in spite of this misconception regarding their human right violation and so forth. And they are going through the hardness, economic difficulty, food shortage, and so forth. But they are very unified under this young leader, Kim Jong-un. And contrary to the general perception we have in our country, in the United States, he's not an irrational person. He's not he's a very soundly a man with leader with a sound mind, and psychologically very stable, and very highly respected by their people. So the country under Mr. Kim Jong-un is very stable. They will not provoke United States, and however, they are very, very determined that their political system is for their own and will not be influenced by the hostilities of the United States or South Korea. Actually, they do not have any hostilities against South Korea. So, as I said before, both Koreas are one country, and there's no actual entity called North Korea, the country, and South Korean country, neither West Korea or East Korea. It's one country. So they will eventually become unified as a single entity, and at that time there will have to be some kind of a confederation between North and South, so that they can maintain their the political entity for a time to come. But within, my feeling is that within 10 to 15 years, these two countries will coalesce as a single entity. Now, another misconception, which is very ridiculous misconception that Donald Trump has, and many actually in this country, in the United States, has regarding the North Korea, is the fact that they think that China will have a great influence on North Korea, and North Korea will be change their political system or their hostility, even denucleate if there's enough pressure from China on them. This is typical misconception indicating ignorance of 4,000 years of history that goes on between China and Korean Peninsula. Korean Peninsula, Korea was never a part of China. And China was, of course, a large part of China, however, was in the past part of Korea. Therefore, North Korea will not be pressured by China to change their national entity or denucleate. So depending on putting on pressure, in turn, for them to put pressure on North Korea and change is really, anyone who knows about history of Korean Peninsula and history between China and North Korea would accept it with laughter. Now, of course, China is a major trading partner with North Korea. I understand 92%, over 90% of trading North Korea is done through China. However, you have to remember, trading is not a help. It's not a assistance. For example, food that North Korea import from China, they pay for that. They pay for the price to the China, and they pay for whatever they get from China with iron ore or coal and so forth that they export to China. the Chinese influence in North Korea is not really that strong. So to pressure on China so that North Korea will change to a direction that we want to change or collapse North Korea is not a very realistic expectation. It is better to deal with North Korea directly with a negotiation and dialogue with the eventual purpose of a peace treaty between United States and North Korea, and that is what North Korea wants. They want negotiation, dialogue, and eventual peaceful, collateral, equal partnership between North Korea and United States. And it's not that they are nuclear power, nuclear weapons, and missile capabilities to attack United States, but to deter any military intention from United States to North Korea and maintain their identity so that they can convince United States that North Korean regime will not collapse regardless of sanctions. You know, most recent sanction by United Nations, 2317, reduces capability of North Korean export to about 1/3, which is a great deal of effect, negative effect on North Korea from our perspective, capitalist society perspective, but they will survive this also. They have survived the American and UN sanction in the last 65 years, and their economy, actually, their growth of GDP has increased by 3.9% last year. So this additional sanction will make their people's lives harsher. They have to go through tightening of belts, they say, but this is not going to collapse North Korean regime. Only changes that we may see in North Korean society and their system would come gradually, spontaneously from inside, not due to outside pressure. And this is a concept that U.S. government must accept, given now their effective nuclear power and missile capability, that we have to negotiate, talk with them, maybe send our Secretary of State to Pyongyang, so that at the highest level they would develop a mutual understanding so that peaceful relationship will appear in the Korean Peninsula between U.S. and North Korea. The relationship between South Korea and North Korea is also due to pressure exerted by United States on the South Korean government. South Korean government is has economic power. Their GDP, gross domestic product, is now 11th in the world, and combined population between North and South is 70 million, which is about the size of the country of Italy. Their combined military force is 1.7 million, and that is size of armed forces of the Korean Peninsula, North and South combined, would be fourth in the world. First would be, because India, China, United States, and the fourth one is a tiny little country, Korean Peninsula, had to maintain such a huge military power. And as you know, as I said repeatedly, North Korea now has effective nuclear power with sufficient delivery capabilities. Therefore, we should not look down on North Korea or Korean Peninsula as a whole. Treat them equally, fairly, and as a partner for the eventual peaceful relationship developing in Korean Peninsula with surrounding big powers. Korean Peninsula is surrounded by big four world powers: China, Russia, Japan, and United States. United States is already on it. U.S. maintains more than 80 military bases in South Korea. and 300, near 300,000 U.S. soldiers are stationed there with their family. The number of U.S. citizens living in South Korea in endangered zone, of course, currently is more than 100,000. So U.S. public will have to be keenly aware of this danger of provoking North Korea, and North Korea's not understanding their true intention of why they are nuclearized and developed ICBM. They want the peace, recognition as an independent sovereignty, and have a peace treaty with the United States so that they can concentrate on the matter of unification between South and North and develop economic viability. So this is very clear intention of North Korea that American public are not very much aware of it. Thank you. I have to make. I would like to make a correction on this. One of the some important statistics I just cited. The American military presence in South Korea is not a 300,000. It's 30,000 U.S. Soldiers are stationed there, and their family are also there. So U.S. citizens living in South Korea in danger zone at this high tension time is about 100,000.